This morning on Healthy Friday Conversation, we'll be talking about vasectomy. And today, is it today? We'll get to know. World Vasectomy Day being commemorated. And to join us in that conversation this morning is Wyckliffe Otieno, who is a service provider at Mary Stopes, Kenya. Wycliffe, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. That is the hot seat. And we'll be talking about a matter this morning that is confusing for a lot of people, is a last resort for a lot of people, and there are very many myths surrounding it. But as we get into it, we're glad that you're here, that you can help us open up that a number of those issues this morning. But we're going to welcome you to today's conversation with a proverb from DR Congo.
Yes, the eye always envies what is forbidden. The eye always envies what is forbidden.
How would you interpret that, Wycliffe? What does that mean to you?
I would just say that the eye would it just mean like somebody will do it.
Wycliffe, let me help you.
Yeah.
We want your opinion.
Your opinion. What you think
Not
about
what you think. We think the proverb means. It's how you interpret the proverb. That's it. And that can be anything, so long as it is what you think it means.
Okay.
Yes.
Repeat your question.
Now let me repeat the proverb. Okay? See, the Kenyan education system.
Yes.
I am talking about a proverb. Wycliffe's talking about a question.
A question, so they must be right or
It's
wrong.
not an exam. Okay? The eye always envies what is forbidden.
I think you just want to know what is. People just want to know what is not right.
Yes. They want to know why. You said it's not right. Okay, why is it
Why
not
is
right?
it not right?
Yeah, so you want to know and you're interested in
Okay,
finding
don't do
out.
this. Okay, why
should
did
I not
do
know?
it?
Yeah, sure.
See? Isn't it? All right. That's what it does. You're very curious about things, especially if you've been told that you shouldn't be. You still want to know that thing
Yeah.
that is hidden from you. You still want to know a lot more about it. It goes even across the board, even for children. They want to know what exactly is going on. All right. World Vasectomy Day. Is that today, Wycliffe?
Yes, today.
It is today.
It's third Friday of every month of November every year.
Every year.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get into it this morning. Vasectomies, we've heard them. We've heard about it over and over again. We've heard about it as the last resort when it comes to contraception. We've heard about it, stop siring children. And here it is where an option comes in whereby the bulk of contraception lies on the shoulders of women. But then here was an intervention that would then have the man involved. Many, many things. Let's start off with basic definitions of vasectomy and what it actually is.
Yeah, sure. Vasectomy is just a surgical non-scalpel procedure that is done to just cut the vas difference, that is where the sperms are being transported from the storage place. Then it's cut and then tied, so that and this is done to any man that has reached a decision or made a decision that he will not want to impregnate any other woman in future. So the tubes are cut and tied. And this is a permanent method that does not have a reversal.
Really?
Yes.
So then I guess we just jump into the myths there, because we often hear that you can reverse a vasectomy. Is that not the case?
Currently in Kenya, reversing a vasectomy is not very practical. Yes, because once you cut the vas difference, both sides, the right and the left, that would mean you're making a permanent mark, a permanent solution, the permanent way to stop the transportation of sperms from where they are being produced to mix with the semen for ejaculation. So men who undergo vasectomy will still ejaculate, but they will not have the seeds. And they'll only juice with no seeds. Yeah, so they will not be able to impregnate a woman.
Okay.
Yes.
when I read the things that modern medical science can do, it's fascinating. And a hand can be amputated and it can be rejoined. A finger, the same.
Yes.
So you're telling me that this left and right thing that you just mentioned, when it's severed, it cannot, that process cannot be undone. You said in Kenya, so I understood that, but are there places where it can be?
I think in other advanced areas, like maybe in US or some other guys that have advanced medical equipments, they're able to reverse it, but
success rate
is not that
high.
100%. It's not that high.
But even without it, the success rate is also never 100%, is it?
Without a reversal.
Forget reversal. Yeah. Even without the vasectomy, there is no guarantee that you will have a child simply because you have had sex and you have ejaculated. Even if you time it how, there is no guarantee, is there?
No, there's no guarantee.
Precisely. So when then one has a vasectomy, what essentially are you trying to achieve? Or when one volunteers to have the procedure done on them?
I think vasectomy is one of the permanent methods of family planning that we have now for men. And so there back we were taxing our women to be the one to take this burden of family planning. Men were not involved, but with the recent days we've seen men get interest in also helping their women to have to be part of the family planning. So they consider having vasectomy done when they've reached the number of children that they have to have. Especially if men, if you just realize that maybe you wanted 2 or 3 kids and don't want to get any other child in future, they prefer having vasectomy done on them so that they don't get more children. Yes.
Okay. So in the country, when we're looking at then the practice of this, how much do you think folks are aware of this option? I mean, if we think about family planning and we think about the methods that are used for contraception, right? Condoms, very very popular. The information about them is all over the place. The medication or the barrier methods that are used, a lot of the hormonal contraceptives that are taken by women, those are quite, we know what those are. I mean, and they're in the public, they're very clear what some of those things are. Maybe a bit confusing to people how to use them, but in terms of information about them, the information is quite rampant. Maybe not so much about vasectomies, but how would it be that more information is being shared, and is it something that can become regular when it comes to then contraception?
I think more of public education should be done. Like currently MSK is doing a lot of that, sensitizing the community, in fact even giving free vasectomy camps. We just had our vasectomy camp done in Nairobi from 14th. It ended just 3 days ago. These free camps are given to clients, and we served over 170 clients in Nairobi. There's one that is ongoing in Bungoma County, courtesy of MSK, and these services are given for free because it's a camp. This is just to help other people who are back there in the village to just get to know that vasectomy is something that can be done. And these services that we give them for free, we are encouraging men to also just help and get to know much about family planning. That is not just a thing of the women. They can also help to assist the ladies the issue of family planning. So we are doing a lot of sensitization in the village, and we're also educating men about vasectomy. When they come, we counsel them before we have this procedure done. So we just want to ensure that this man understands what he wants to go through. And so with this knowledge that we give, when you give one client a knowledge, you will go and talk to another client or a friend. And so this is how this message of vasectomy will reach 10 or 5 people in a day. So we believe when we do these outreaches, we are reaching a number. So maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, I know this message will be out here, just like other family planning methods that are taken mostly with our women.
The people who are involved in research, health research, things that CT has done, for example, who often say that even as you get the implementation plan, it is very important for you to understand the why. So that now, even as you go into the future, you are not then going to backtrack and say, we have to go back. So why are men not usually involved in family planning methods and procedures? Why are they not involved, like you had said? What's the reason that you found over time?
I think mostly it's just myth that men maybe just took that family planning is a thing of the women, which is not very true. I think as a family, you need to plan together. You need to plan your family together, and if maybe your spouse is not is having other medical conditions that cannot allow her to undertake the available family planning methods of women. So as a man, this time you come in and then say, then let me have the vasectomy done, because we even the issue of condoms, we know that it's all over, but you'll find some other men will not still accept to use this. So I think just we just need to educate more men for them to help the ladies in family planning issues. Yeah, so with this a lot of sensitization and a lot of outreach that we do as MSK, I think we are reaching a number of men, and as I've said earlier, we are trusting God that in the next 2 or 3 years vasectomy will be popular just as other family planning methods. Yeah.
You know, the very concept, and you are right when you say it has been assumed for the longest time that, especially in Kenya, that when you talk about family planning, you talk about women. And if you look at the space that we refer to as the family planning space, that emphasis clearly has focus on women. Because you'll be told about the barrier method, you will be told about, the whole array, from hormonal implants to all manner of things. And it was just women. Now, the effort that has been made to ensure that women get to understand what's available for them, you say there is an outreach to ensure that men understand. But I'm using what has been done with reference to family planning where women are concerned as a reference point. What are the plans to ensure that in trying to get men to embrace family planning, similar effort is being made? Because when you start with a vasectomy is scary. I'm a man, okay? And I'm telling you, it is scary. Someone is telling me that you're going to nip something, and after that, I will probably never be able to have children. I am going to have a problem with that. Now, there are reasons why people would make that choice. Now, when you say they are counseled, walk us through this. How exactly do you reach out to men? Are there special clinics where men are asked to attend? Or is it something that is being done just within the healthcare space? And as you talk about vasectomy, is it only vasectomy, or are there other options that you're talking to men about beyond the condom? So, as they say, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, family planning, as the world says, I think it's a thing of a family. That's why it's called a family planning. It's not only meant for one person in a family to do this. So male involvement in this family planning issue would give a family ease to plan who will be going under this family planning. So I think for men, we are having programs. There are a lot of education that is done in the village, there are even in the facilities, in the media, and we just want to involve men. Even when they go for clinics, we encourage men to go with their spouses, take them there, so that at the clinic you'll be taught a lot of things when you start your journey of pregnancy. So family planning is one of the topics that are being discussed at the clinic. So when our male counterpart go to the clinics with their partners, from the word go, they'll be able to learn about family planning. So by the time this mother has delivered, as a family, they would have decided that we're going for this family planning method. So during these clinic times, the men are also taught about the vasectomies, the availability of family method that they have. Yeah, so during this time, it's when men are sensitized. The clinics, when you come with the spouse, the men are sensitized. Or if the mother comes alone, she's also given an option of going back to discuss with the spouse about the vasectomy. You just, a mother can come and tell you, I've tried all these other methods.
I've
tried all these other methods, and I'm not comfortable. But then, as a service provider, you'll be able to tell her, advise her. You can talk to your spouse.
Let me explain why I'm asking the question.
Yes.
Perhaps I wasn't clear. I suspect I wasn't. What are the functions where you'd find both men and women at the same time, comfortably being in?
At the same time?
Yes.
I think most of these camps that we do, we advertise them. So we
social functions that men and women are likely to be in together.
Maybe in our churches. Yeah, maybe it's like this
weddings,
funerals, such stuff. Yeah, such areas. Yeah, sure.
And I'm going to explain why I'm saying this. Those represent a family. Those are things that unite people. When people go for a wedding, they feel it's an outing that every member of the family can go to. Funeral, the same.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? Church functions or religious functions, same. Okay? Now, family planning, you see, the norm has been women go. Okay? We're now saying there's a conversation about men being involved. Women, come with your men. Okay? Now, when it comes to vasectomy, you are saying it was good that men are involved, but the discussion of bring women. I'll explain to you why I am saying this. Again, if you are talking about a situation or a process that you want to initiate that will guarantee this person will not be able, the man will not be able to sire children, the wife or the partner needs to be involved in this from the very beginning. Because if they are not, the same way men would react when they found that their women were on some family planning
method.
Yes, and they had not been involved. Socially, it creates a storm. It's never a simple matter. The why, what, which, and for a man, the question will be asked is, okay, so how many other children do you have elsewhere? So you feel you don't want to anymore, and that will be an issue.
Yeah, sure.
So again, the involvement of women when it comes to men and vasectomy, how have you worked this out? And from what you've seen, how is it progressing?
Yeah, part of our counseling topics is when a man comes, we really want to convince this man to ensure that the spouse has to know about this procedure. Yeah, so you will find most of our clients come with their ladies to the clinics.
How do you guarantee that the woman they've come with is
actually their wife? Because I mean, you want to have it in an open conversation, right? And you're assuming that the person he's come with is his wife in order to have this conversation. Do you ask for a marriage certificate? How do you know?
I think some the people who come for this method, some of them are people who are mature enough, and I think maybe the rate, in Kenya, somebody can tell you that maybe I have 2 or 3 wives. So
we were going there. I'm glad you brought it up.
So among these 3, which one did she come with? But once a client comes, you don't have to question whether this is the true wife or not. But we just cancel. You just need to just tell him the benefit of involving your wife into this. So if it's truly, if this man is true to himself, I think we'll be just able to share with the spouse. So it'll also be very encouraging and and very good just to have your spouse when you are undergoing this procedure, because it's a procedure that can be done within 20 to 30 minutes, and then you be released back home through outpatient department. Yeah.
You know, I have to confess that the reason why I am insisting on asking these questions is because I worked in the field of HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
Okay, and one of the conundrums we found ourselves in was when we were dealing with what you call discordant couples, where there's the man is HIV positive or the woman's HIV positive and the partner is not. And then now you're talking about preventative methods. You want to ensure that someone doesn't infect the other. And just the discussions that took place. In fact, let me just mention this from what I observed a while back. When you found a situation where the woman was negative and the man was positive, women tend to be fairly supportive. When it was vice versa, where the woman is the one who was HIV positive and the man was HIV negative, the majority of the men we came across were not that supportive. Now, I'm talking about that discordance in the reaction to such a situation.
Yeah, sure.
In relation to how it is we view children in our society, the birthing of children, what children mean, and how it is a discussion that involves, because when you have a vasectomy, you talk about cessation. Now, no more children thereafter.
Yeah, sure.
Now, that for many people is a very, very serious discussion.
Yeah, so that's why we are saying one of the eligibility criteria is you must have made your mind that maybe if you plan to have two, you will not want to have any other child in future. So one of the eligibility criteria is you must have decided that in future you will not have any child.
Okay.
Yeah. Before we proceed with the procedure, we must also confirm
this
is really what you mean.
But let's look at some numbers now, Wycliffe. Would you know what's the number of families that have procured vasectomies in Kenya? Do we know what that index looks like?
In Kenya, it's around 360. Based on the data that we have,
360.
That is just MSK, but I'm sure other facilities, other organizations also does the vasectomies, because MSK has gone ahead even to train other public service providers, like doctors who work in public facilities. Yeah, the MSK is too generous even to train them on how to do this, so they also do the same. Yeah, but like the last month, the last camp that we had here only in Nairobi, we did over 170 vasectomies. So we believe when the year begins, this number will go high, based on now the clients will be having more information. Yeah, so we are seeing a situation where more men will come for these procedures. Yeah. And
what's the cost burden? How much does it cost to have a vasectomy done in Kenya today?
It depends with your facility where you want this done. So, matter of cost in our MSK, I will give a number where people will maybe want to just call, and then you consult with the people dealing with the finances. But when it's free, when it's a camp, we offer it for free. Yeah, during our camps, we offer it for free. For all those who maybe would want to, would want to ask this vasectomy price and pricing and maybe bookings, I think if they call our 0800 72005, they will be helped.
Okay.
Yeah. That is the number. When if you want to know about the pricing, you are able to call. If you want to book, you're able to call, and they'll be able to help you. It is 0800 7200 then 5. Yes.
Okay. Now, even as we look at, obviously, this being a method of contraception, and also looking at these numbers, these are pretty low. If we're going to look at in terms of what people are going to do. The social idea of vasectomy, do you see this as a hindrance, or do you see this as a challenge, a block to more people actually then having them? Because it doesn't seem to be the physical. It looks like, it sounds like it's more of a mind over matter kind of thing. That in my mind, I'm taking something away from manhood, and that would mean that I'm not going to embrace it as often as I would, whereby you say, put on a condom, for example, or, have a woman take a pill, or have an injection, or put in an intrauterine device. This seems to be mind over matter. And have you found that as a challenge to then being able to convince men that it's an option that you can have or that you can use?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of myths and going on in our villages. So these myths will discourage men from coming to have this procedure done on them. Yeah, so to just help us get rid of this myth, I think the education that I was talking about, some men will think that when you have the vasectomy done, maybe your manhood is interfered with, you will never maybe ejaculate again, you will never have the desire to get intimate, which is not true. When you have the vasectomy done, every other thing remains as it was. Remains usually. If the desires were there, they still remain. Vasectomy does not interfere with any reproductive system of a man. The only thing that it does is you cannot have the sperms. So you still ejaculate as usual. But now the ejaculation, what will be coming out will be having no seeds. So the myth that goes around, like when you have these, that you are going to have your reproductive health removed, or maybe your manhood interfered with, it's not true. So we encourage men just to come. And I think when we have them one-on-one, when we educate them, we'll get to understand more about this. Yes.
The thing that I keep wondering as I'm listening to you, walk us through, when you say you counsel men, is there a set format that you use for counseling, and are there specific areas that you cover when you're counseling the men?
Yeah, sure. During counseling, we do it. We just first take proper medical history, or any other maybe any other surgical history. So just proper history. We want to understand this man well. We want to know if he has really decided to have this procedure done on him. What made him decide? When did he decide? And whether he shared with his spouse. So that we just get the ground to start on, or we just look on things that now we are going to discuss with him. So number one thing that we discuss is we have to ensure that we tell him about the procedure, or what the procedure entails. So we must ensure that he's having good understanding of the procedure. We must ensure that he knows that how long the procedure will take to heal. We must know what is required of him during this process of that you've done the vasectomy. Some other men will think that you have vasectomy done today, tomorrow you will not be able to impregnate. But ideally, we tell them when you have the procedure done today, you will come back for what we call checkup, return if that is a must and mandatory for all the clients. Just to ensure during this time you will come, we do what we call seminalisis. Seminalisis, we just do sperm analysis just to check if the semen still have the sperms. And when the sperms are there, are they mobile or immobile? We must ensure that there's zero sperms before we give you go ahead. Now we tell you cannot now impregnate a woman. So when we have the vasectomy done, we still encourage you to use other barrier methods like crushed condoms, or you can abstain until the 3 months till you come back for checkup. This checkup will be able to now give you direction. Yeah, before we say that vasectomy has failed, we have to do seminalisis and confirm that there are no semen.
How do you know if it has failed? What then are the elements of failure, a botched vasectomy, as it were?
WHO, we say when you have 1,000 men undergo vasectomy, it's only 1 or 2 that will report failure. So you just know failure rate is that very low. It's
0.1 or 0.2.
0.2. If it is 1 to 2 in 1,000 men.
But I'm interested to understand what would cause this 0.1 or 0.2 failure, because it is a failure.
Like I said, these tubes, why we normally advise clients to come for checkup. The vas defense from both ends. So it's just like the tube, and then you cut. So when this man has been sexually active, we believe there are some other sperms that may when you do the cutting, the other strains that remained on the other end. So why we tell you to come back for 3 months is this other strain that remained will maybe still able to impregnate a woman. So when you come back in 3 months, we believe that this one maybe they have died, or they are not motile. They cannot move anymore. They're immobile. So when we come, we do the seminalysis. This will also help us to identify whether you have mobile sperms. Yes.
A friend of mine who has very interesting terminology, what we're discussing. He says there's some animals who didn't leave the Jurassic Park. Some remained.
If he was, let me say, actually active, and then maybe you got intimate maybe 2 days ago, and then you come today, we will only do the cutting, but there's some other.
There's some residue
that remain the other side.
The clinical process is fairly easy to understand.
Yeah.
Do you find that in cases where men have already undergone the process, that there's some who come back with regret and say, I'm sorry, I know I decided, but I think
I've changed my
mind.
After the procedure is done?
Yes, maybe not immediately, but during whatever duration of time after the procedure. Have you ever had cases of that sort?
Yes, not really, but a few, maybe 1 or 2 would maybe come later, just to inquire, just that inquiry, that if that is possible. But ideally, I think when you give this client proper counseling at the beginning before you do this procedure, they will have proper understanding of what it means by telling them this is a permanent method. So when this month, before he has the procedure done, before he makes that consent, you must ensure that he understands that this procedure is permanent and cannot be reversed.
Now, the permanency or the finality of this procedure, is that also, again, not a barrier to looking at the successes in terms of numbers? Because I don't think we can run away from that especially for a man in his makeup and how men are, because there's so many factors that contribute. The social matters are there. We can't run away from them. The social impact, the ego impact, all of that comes into play. And now we are talking about a procedure that bears finality. It has permanency attached to it, and that you cannot then come back tomorrow and say, well, you know what, let me do something else. Whereas if we look at the contraceptive forms that are present for women, you can get on the pill this month and you can get off next month. You can inject and it will be there for 3 months, and then thereafter you can then clean your system. You can have an intrauterine device that you can remove at any time. The only thing that would be final for a woman would be tubal ligation or hysterectomy. You see? But there are very many other procedures or processes or options that are not final. So you have a vast array to choose from. And that could be, again, that because of this community idea that family planning rested on women, perhaps that's why there are so many options. So do you see a situation whereby if we start to say that it is a shared responsibility, then we will start to see that there will be then the production or the research into other methods, that could be used besides the condom for men. So right now, because essentially that's what we're looking at, isn't it? It's the withdrawal method, or it's condoms, or it's a vasectomy for men. I don't know that there's anything else beyond sterilization, for example. But that's pretty,
Abstinence.
Or abstinence. Well, there's another one. There's abstinence. But I bet you my bottom dollar that if you by the end of the day took a poll and said how many people wanted them to remain abstinent, or wanted to abstain, what in terms of an option for that. But could it not be that because of the attention that has been placed on women for family planning, that is why we do not have so many options for men? But the finality or the permanency of a vasectomy could be that thing that stops many men from taking it as an option. What do you think about that? Because it's something you really have to think about. You're not going to be able to change your mind. You can't say, yes, we've decided, and then we come back tomorrow and say, okay, no, I'm done with this thing. No, I mean, and it's almost unfair to
Wycliffe, consider, for instance, also, as an African man, how do African men, what is part of the identity of an African man? It's his ability to have children.
Sure.
Yes. So much as this is a process that some would desire and it is useful, but essentially, if you can no longer have children, psychological, that's why I asked about people coming back and saying, something happens to your identity. You have to give it a rethink. You have to give it a reboot. But if I look at the way Africans function and think and the role that children play in our lives, I may not want a child now. 3 years down the line, I may think, no, I actually want a child. Then what happens then? And the option was, as you say, removed permanently. What this brings me to is the question of, at what age do you allow people to be able to even consider a vasectomy?
Vasectomy, I think WHO, when you get to an age of 18 and even 20 and above.
18.
20, but we normally cancel
18.
the clans. I'm saying that is
WHO.
From 18, yeah, that is an adult, right?
Yes.
So when adult makes a decision, and you come for this vasectomy, we need to cancel you. But normally we don't provide vasectomy to somebody who is 18. It's not some of the clients.
This one, if it's WHO, this one they've got this one wrong.
Some of the clients, we don't give them vasectomy the same day when they come, because we really want to know where this is really what they want. Because some people will come that they don't want any child, but they have no child.
Do you have 18-year-olds who come in and say they want a vasectomy done? I mean, we're talking about a boy who cannot spell vasectomy.
We even see 20-year-old come to these camps, and they tell you he doesn't want to have a child. So we have to cancel them and recancel. So some of them will have to take them back home, and then they come again the next day. They've decided, you've checked all the eligibility criteria. You've talked to this guy. You've talked to any other person, maybe to cancel them. So we have counselors there. When we find such a young age, we give them to our counselors first before we have the vasectomy is done. We must ensure that he is of sound mind when making this decision. So 20-year-old man comes, we first talk to him, we ensure that we give this knowledge of permanency, that this method is a permanent method. You will not have to reverse it. It's not very possible. So when you decide to have this done, just know this will not be reversed. So before we have this done to this young man, we must have proper counseling. Okay. Yes.
You know, I ask this question is because those who study the brain and who study the development and the process of rewiring of the human brain from childhood and maturity to adulthood, it's 25. That's the age where your brain now, as you say,
ready to start.
Yes, but even then, that's the age when people are thinking of getting married. Not necessarily getting, but thinking seriously. Sure. And that's when they're thinking, and most people think of marriage and children. They don't think of marriage for companionship only. I'm talking about an African setting. So if that option, for whatever reason, whatever experience someone has gone through, they feel at the age of 25, 26, even up to 30, they want to have children, they may understand it very well.
Yeah, sure.
But God permitting, they are very many years ahead of them. What happens when they change their mind? Because many will change their minds. Whatever may be determining my decision now, I mean, I'm probably being unfair because I'm looking at the number of times I've changed my mind on many things. And where at some phases, I was very definite and definitive, this is it. And then
nobody could have convinced you otherwise.
No, and you weren't going to convince them. A few years down the line, I changed my mind very simply. Now, on something as fundamental as this, I understand the counseling and it is good. And I'm glad that you do not perform the vasectomy just simply because someone has come there. But do you advise them to come back after 5 years when they're perhaps a little older and they've seen a few more things?
Can you just tell them to go and come back? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we always tell when we just realize that you maybe you made this decision when there's something that pushed you to make the decision, or there was some pressure, or you are not even very sure what you really wanted. We don't go ahead, but in case that we have this vasectomy done, we must ensure that this client has good understanding of the vasectomy and the whole process and what it means to have it done on you. Yeah, so that you just tell this client, this method that you've chosen is a permanent method and there is no way you can reverse it. And this will mean you will not have children unless you want to adopt a child. That will be the only way you have to get these children.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the work that Marriage Stops is doing in Kenya in terms of, this kind of awareness building in rural communities, in urban, around the country essentially, to spread information about this and other things.
Yeah, MSK is doing a lot of sensitization. In fact, there are even staffs of MSK in public facilities just to teach the families, both men and women, on family planning, and several outreaches, several camps that are done all over in almost every county in Kenya. In fact, every quarter they do these camps, both for both family planning for ladies and men. So, like in Nairobi, when we had the week for BTL, the following month was for vasectomy. So MSK is doing a lot of sensitization and actually helping our friends, our mothers and sisters, brothers outside here to get this knowledge of family planning and even avail these services next to them. Yeah, so we have several clinics along in every country. In most of the country, the county, we have clinics where you can just walk and have your family planning without getting any other complications. We also have outreaches that are done in public facilities, where you find MSK has sent their staffs there just to assist, just to give knowledge of family planning to public facility staffs. They are also trained by MSK staffs. So MSK is doing a lot of work in supporting family planning. Yeah.
Okay. So, looking into the future whereby you can then say what would be the things that you would encourage people to do in terms of coming out to find out information about what they need health-wise and commemorating this World Vasectomy Day.
I think just taking time to walk to the facility, walk to any near facility just to get to know about vasectomy, just to get to know more about family planning is a good thing rather than just sitting there and maybe having myths that are coming from people that will really discourage you, will not give you
the information
that you may need. But when you get a service provider, will be able to explain to you very clearly what it means to have this family planning, this vasectomy and even this BTL. Done.
Thank you very much, Wycliffe, for joining us this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.